All right, as we head into Memorial Day week with a few snow days, let's end our Project Genotype with this exciting video quiz. How well did you learn what you needed to learn? Let's go. All right.
Hey now. Mr. Kovacs class. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
You might learn a ton.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
It's interesting too.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
And he's super cool.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
Remember when we pulled the DNA out of strawberries? One of the reasons we use strawberries is because they were octoploid, right? Which means they got 4 sets of chromosomes from each parent. How many sets of chromosomes do you get from each parent? Hey, in the face game, one of the faces was the crazy psycho face. It only showed up if you got two of the yellow cards. What do we call it if you get 2 of the same color cards in the face game? Remember in the great baby mix-up, the Goobers were one of the couples. If you look at their genotypes, all right, what were the chances of them having a baby who would have hair just like mom? Who's the monkey that we'd love to squish? It's Andy, it's Andy. Who's the monkey that's got one gene from Alfred Nobel? Started the Nobel Prize because he read his own obituary. What did Nobel invent that allowed him to make enough money to fund the Nobel Prize? What do we call this chart that we use to figure out the combinations and the chances of certain gene combinations or genotypes showing up? As you recall, James Watson, Francis Crick, and Rosalind Franklin each contributed some Nobel Prize winning work on the discovery of how DNA was built. But Rosalind did not receive, why is that jumping up in my, Rosalind did not receive the prize. Why not? All right, how many letters are in the DNA alphabet? You remember the famous Austrian monk, Gregor Mendel. What was the plant that made him famous? When a ribosome reads a gene, every 3 letters is called a codon. What does the ribosome string together to make a protein? All right. If people get 23 pairs of chromosomes, 23 from mom, 23 from dad, how many total chromosomes are in each cell? I know, math. Hey, this is a Punnett square. Let's try it. If mom is heterozygous, big T, little t, tongue out, and dad is crazy psycho face, little t, what are the chances that their baby would also be crazy psycho face? King Henry VIII, he blamed his wives for not bearing him a son. Why was that wrong? We've learned that elephant moms are just about the toughest moms out there. Which of the following reasons makes them so tough? Andy the monkey could glow. The fact that he glowed proved 2 things. 1, that monkeys could copy jellyfish genes. What's the other thing it proved? This is the famous picture taken by Rosalind Franklin that helped identify the structure of the DNA molecule. What did she use to take this picture? Look at the Goober's eyeballs. You see that they are homozygous recessive. What are the chances that their children will have the same eyeballs as both their parents? Mr. Kovacs has blue eyes. Why does that make him some kind of weird mutant freak? All right, friends, as we go off to Memorial Day week, You might spend some time outside. I've been asked to mention one of our new friends here, of course, are the black-legged tick, sometimes called the deer tick. And they are infamous carriers of disease, including Lyme disease. And so I've been asked just to remind you of what that is and just some, hopefully, tips that you know, to keep you safe from disease. All right. So a couple things you need to know that sometimes people forget. Ticks cannot jump, right? They just stand and grab. So they like places where they can climb to the edge of a branch or to the edge of, usually it's actually just grass, like tall grass. And hopefully some large warm-blooded mammal or bird even will walk by and they can grab on. Right? And then they crawl around looking for a place to stick their heads. They have basically like a razor-like proboscis, and they bury their heads into the skin looking for capillaries, and then they suck out blood. They suck out blood to fill up their abdomens with blood. The only reason to suck up blood is to grow, or if you are pregnant with offspring. Okay, so ticks are, especially the deer tick, is interesting because they only feed, I think, like 3 times in their whole life. Right after they're born, they'll have their first feed so they can grow. And then after that, they'll do a second feed. And then usually only the females feed a third time, and that's when it's if they're going to have babies. Right? So they live for a couple of years, feeding every, usually, springtime, and then the next season in the summer, and then the next season at the end of the summer. All right, so that's typical of ticks. The good news is, if it's a brand new baby tick, since you are probably its first meal, it probably won't be carrying. They're not born with Lyme disease. Okay, they have to pick it up from an animal that they feed on. The problem is the little tiniest of baby ticks are extremely tiny, poppy seed size, and very hard to know if they're there. Anyway, if you've been out in the woods, the best thing you can do is when you get back, you check for ticks. Check places. They like to crawl in places where it'd be hard to find. So you might have to check places that you wouldn't normally check. And then if you find a tick on you, the key thing to do is not to burn it or not to try to tear it off. You want to try to make sure you pry its nose out of your skin. Okay, because what happens is if the head breaks off, then any saliva, and if there's any Lyme bacteria in the saliva, it'll actually drip into your bloodstream, and that's how you would get Lyme, or some of the other diseases like babesiosis and things like that. And then if you have a tick bite and you're able to remove the tick, there's not a lot you can do but wait. Okay, we know that Lyme disease especially takes a while for those spirochete bacteria to find a place to live where they might start inflammation, and then where you might see symptoms. Okay, pretty sure nowadays there's no real prophylactic way to get rid of Lyme bacteria. And then in terms of being outside, I can tell you that if you're going to be outside, the ticks will usually grab the lower parts of your body. So, there's the always cool look of tucking your pants into your socks, wearing long pants all the time so that ticks can't get under your pants. They crawl on the outside. I know that doesn't always look cool, but that works really well. Also, there are chemicals, DEET, which is found in like bug spray. It is effective at keeping ticks off because they don't want to bite a DEET where there's DEET and spread. The problem is, of course, DEET is not a great chemical to get on your own skin. So probably best to keep it on your clothes and shoes and socks. There's some other permethrin, which is a protein that you can spray. You can usually buy it as a spray and put on your clothing. Again, not great for your skin. And also, from what I understand, it's terrible for like your pets to be exposed to. So anyway, I've been asked just to mention the best thing to do is be vigilant. That is, check. And remember that every time you go outside, even in your own backyard, you have potential to pick up a tick. So just check. All right, have a great Memorial Day.